I thought, with Sue Bird coming in, at least this is someone that has been positive on Caitlyn at times. And I think the issue with Sue Bird, though, is she has her hand kind of in so many things. And between with her podcast, where she tries to advocate for the players, but she's also an owner in the league. And now she's got the Team USA thing, and she's got all these connections and relationships she has to maintain. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to someone that went to UConn and someone that did not go to UConn, the UConn Mafia is going to stick together until proven otherwise.
Let's be brutally honest here. Team USA just engineered the most jaw-dropping, self-inflicted meltdown in the whole history of women's basketball. And it's one of those slow-motion disasters you literally cannot look away from. Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the biggest, loudest, most powerful name in the sport right now, has basically drawn a hard line in the sand, warning officials she would straight up walk away from the team if they even think about making her give up her iconic number. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, the legendary Sue Bird is scrambling in full-blown panic mode, trying to put out this wildfire before it burns the whole house down. But honestly, let's be real. The damage might already be way past the point of saving. This controversy isn't calming down, it's exploding by the hour, and the fallout from this chaos could completely reshape the future of the sport. Now, I've got to throw this at you, so drop a comment and tell me what side you're on. Would you walk away from the massive honor of playing for your country over a jersey number? Or do you think Caitlyn is taking this way too far? I seriously want to hear both sides on this. Because right now, it looks painfully obvious that Team USA is trying to force Caitlin Clark to give up her legendary number 22 and switch to something else. So let's stop dancing around it. Team USA basketball has just pulled off a level of next-level self-destruction I honestly haven't seen in pro sports for years. They went after the one player who brought millions and millions of brand new fans into women's basketball, the one superstar whose name alone overshadows half the league put together, and told her she can't wear the number that has been attached to every record she's ever broken. And then, in a moment of shocking cluelessness, they acted stunned when she basically fired back, "All right then, I'm out." According to a wave of solid reports during the December training camp buildup, officials boldly told Caitlyn she wouldn't be allowed to wear the number she's had since she was a 5-year-old kid learning how to dribble. The number fans all around the world instantly connect to her. The number that has become as tied to her identity as 23 is to Michael Jordan. Caitlyn's response was sharp, loud, and left zero confusion. If she can't wear her number, she's not stepping foot in camp. Period. End of story. And Sue Bird, who's the managing director of Team USA, is reportedly losing her mind trying to understand how this whole thing blew up into a runaway disaster. And honestly, she should be panicking. Because this isn't some tiny paperwork mistake or a simple schedule mishap. This is a full-scale 5-alarm crisis that makes the entire organization look either shockingly clueless or, even worse, completely disrespectful on purpose. And trust me, neither one of those looks good when you're supposed to be the powerhouse, the gold standard, the #1 women's basketball program on the planet.
We haven't even made it to training camp yet. We have not even made it to the December 12th Women's USA Basketball training camp yet, and they are already disrespect.
Now, here's the part of the story that makes this whole situation so mind-blowingly ridiculous. The number 22, it wasn't even claimed. Nobody at the training camp was wearing it. It was literally just sitting there, untouched, wide open, waiting for the one person on Earth who actually owns it. Just pause and think about that. They didn't need to force Caitlyn to switch numbers to fix some conflict with another player or to protect a veteran's legacy. They had an easy solution right in front of them. And instead of choosing peace, they chose chaos. They created this problem out of thin air. And that single decision is what turns this from a simple mix-up into something that feels way more intentional. It feels like a straight-up power move designed to put Caitlyn in her place. And trust me, fans, media, and the entire sports world are absolutely not buying it. And the timing? Oh man, you couldn't script it worse. This entire mess exploded just days before Team USA's huge training camp in North Carolina, scheduled to run from December 12th. This camp was supposed to be a hype-filled celebration, a spotlight for rising stars like Paige Buchers and Juju Watkins. It was meant to be a festival of future legends, a giant showcase proving that American basketball is still the king of the global stage. But instead, thanks to one bizarre and totally unnecessary decision, the entire event got swallowed up by one of the strangest controversies women's sports has seen in years. All because someone, somewhere in the chain of command, decided that Caitlin Clark, the most famous face in women's basketball, needed to be stripped of her identity for absolutely no reason. Let me be 100% clear, because this is the heart of everything. Caitlin Clark's number 22 is without question the single most iconic number in all of women's sports right now. There's no debate, there's no but actually. From casual viewers who just learned her name to hardcore fans who have followed this sport for decades, everyone knows that number belongs to her. That number represents her insane logo range threes. It represents that wild playmaking that makes elite defenders look helpless. It represents that wild, competitive fire inside her that never, ever switches off. For millions, that number isn't just digits sewn onto fabric. It's a symbol of greatness, a badge of everything she's built, and a massive piece of her global brand. And Team USA looked at all of that and decided she should wear number 17 instead. 17, a number with no meaning to her, no history behind it, and zero connection to the empire she's created. The only possible meaning behind the number 17 in this entire situation is that it means nothing. And that's exactly the point. This was never a logistics issue. This was about control. This was about sending a not-so-subtle message, a reminder to Caitlin that no matter how massive her fame gets, the organization still believes it holds all the power. And Caitlin's answer was its own loud message. Then go ahead and make those rules without me. What makes this whole thing even more insulting is the bigger picture around it, because this didn't happen in some quiet, isolated moment. We all remember what went down not long ago when Caitlin was shockingly, and I mean jaw-droppingly, left off the Olympic roster, even though she was the biggest name in women's basketball and a proven ratings juggernaut. That decision alone made people question whether Team USA's leadership had any clue what cultural moment they were living in. But now, when you combine that Olympic snub with this forced number switch, it stops looking like random mistakes. It starts looking like a clear, deliberate pattern of trying to shrink her influence. Fans everywhere are connecting the dots, and the picture they're seeing is not flattering. First, she gets kicked out of the Olympics even though she brings unheard of global attention to the sport. Now she's being told to drop the most recognizable part of her identity for absolutely no logical reason whatsoever. So yeah, it's not hard to see why people think Team USA might be seriously uncomfortable with just how massive, how global, how unstoppable Caitlin has become. She's bigger than the league. She's bigger than the program. And powerful organizations rarely react well when the power balance suddenly flips this fast and this dramatically. So let's talk about Sue Bird's situation here, because she's stuck in a nearly impossible spot. As managing director, she was the one who personally selected this training camp roster. Her whole job is to manage elite relationships and build the next generation of the national program. But instead of focusing on actual basketball strategy, player development, and keeping Team USA on top of the world, she's now trapped dealing with a full-speed public relations disaster that her own organization managed to create out of thin air. People close to the situation say Sue's emotions have been swinging between deep frustration and full-on panic as she tries to figure out any possible way to fix this without accidentally blowing everything up even worse. It's pure chaos, and she's standing right in the center of the storm. And here's the brutal, stone-cold truth that Sue Bird and the rest of Team USA are being forced to swallow right now. In this showdown, Caitlin Clark holds all the power, every single ounce of it. She doesn't need Team USA to validate her career or to secure her legacy. She's already done that and then gone far beyond it. She shattered Iowa records that will probably sit untouched for decades. She single-handedly boosted WNBA visibility and TV ratings to levels nobody thought were possible. She pulled in new sponsors, massive media attention, and mainstream hype in ways no player ever has. So you've got to stop and ask, what exactly does she gain by sacrificing her own brand and her own identity just to be part of a system that clearly doesn't treat her with the respect she deserves? Team USA, on the other hand, stands to lose everything if she walks away. They lose their brightest star. They lose the cultural momentum she brings everywhere she goes. They lose the millions of fresh fans who tune in specifically because she's on the court. They lose media buzz, giant sponsorship deals, and the entire storyline that American women's basketball is entering a new golden age. If Caitlin leaves, it's a full-on disaster. No sugarcoating it. And trust me, Sue Bird understands this perfectly. That's exactly why she's scrambling like her job depends on it, because it does. Then came the final confirmation. The official training camp roster released to the public shows Caitlin Clark listed as number 17. It's there in plain black and white, proof to the whole world that this wasn't some rumor, wasn't some misunderstanding. They actually forced the number change. And here's the part that hits the hardest. When you look at the full roster, you can clearly see that nobody, not one single player, is wearing number 22. It's wide open, just sitting there. They could have handed it to her without any issue and avoided this entire wildfire. But they chose the opposite. They picked this fight. They created this controversy, and now they're trapped dealing with the messy, explosive consequences of a decision they never had to make in the first place. This situation also tears the entire curtain down and exposes a much deeper, longer, and honestly, uglier systemic problem within women's sports. A problem that goes way beyond one superstar and one jersey number. WNBA athletes have been shouting into the void for years, even decades, about being undervalued, underpaid, and treated like background extras in the very sport they are building with their own sweat. So when the most iconic player of her generation is treated like she is disposable or easily replaced, it doesn't just feel tone-deaf. It feels like the exact same pattern of disrespect female athletes have been fighting against forever. And this whole thing hits even harder when you realize that the league is currently in the middle of a heated, high-stakes battle over the collective bargaining agreement, with players openly warning about a possible league-wide lockout because they're tired of being handed crumbs while carrying the entire industry on their backs. That's why this jersey number chaos resonates so deeply with so many people. It was never really about the digits on her back. It's about what those digits symbolize: respect, recognition, and the acknowledgement that Caitlin Clark has not only earned her status, she's earned the right to set certain boundaries. When she draws a line and says, "This is non-negotiable," she isn't acting like a diva. She's finally doing what so many women athletes were never allowed to do: stand up for herself in a system that has tried to shrink, silence, and control female stars at every single turn. And the crazy part? Millions of people respect her more because of that stance. That's the power shift happening right in front of us. Now, to be fair, some fans pointed out that other stars like A'ja Wilson and Cameron Brink also wear number 22 in their own careers, and that's true. But historically, this was never some battle that required executive-level interference. Players never needed referees to manage their conversations. They would sort it out with a quick talk like professionals. We've seen countless All-Star games where multiple players rocked the same number, and guess what? Nobody melted down, nobody panicked. They handled it like grown adults without any heavy-handed "we're in charge" move from USA Basketball. The mature approach here would have been simple. If A'ja and Caitlin were both going to be at the same event wearing 22, let them talk privately and figure it out. Instead, USA Basketball created a crisis out of thin air, forced a useless solution that pleased absolutely nobody, and disrespected their biggest star in the process. And the way this was handled, it shows a fundamental, almost shockingly outdated misunderstanding of Caitlin Clark's value and her insane leverage in today's sports world. Organizations get comfortable with old power structures. They cling to them. They don't always notice when the earth shifts beneath them and the balance changes forever. USA Basketball is still acting like they're doing Caitlin some kind of massive favor by bringing her into the program. They haven't wrapped their heads around the reality that things have flipped completely. The truth, whether they like it or not, is that she is doing them the favor by showing up. Her presence brings more value, more money, more visibility, and more global attention than the program currently brings to her at this stage in her career. It's a brand new era, but they're still stubbornly playing by ancient rules. Sue Bird's panic suddenly makes perfect sense because she's stuck smack in the middle of this bureaucratic disaster. It's incredibly unlikely she forced this decision all by herself. There were probably other officials involved. Maybe some dusty policy from the early 2000s. Maybe some old school seniority thinking. Maybe even a few people who simply don't understand how massive Caitlin's fame really is. But Sue is the public face of Team USA's leadership, which means she's the one who has to stand under the spotlight and explain it. She's the one who has to somehow convince Caitlin Clark that the organization deeply respects her while also defending a decision that screams the opposite from the rooftops. It's a trap. A total no-win situation. And she's stuck playing cleanups for a fire she probably didn't start, but now has to try to put out before it burns the entire program to the ground. The simple reality is this: Caitlin Clark has absolutely no reason to compromise. Not a single one. She's already proven everything she ever needed to prove on the court. She has nothing left to gain by staying in a program that is clearly treating her like she doesn't matter. If USA Basketball wants her back, they are the ones who have to fix this mess. And fixing it means way more than quietly switching a number on some roster. It means letting her wear her number, openly admitting that forcing her to change it was a huge mistake, and showing through real actions, not empty lines, that they actually understand and value what she brings not just to their program, but to the entire sport. And of course, this whole controversy has sparked massive conversations about athlete power in today's rapidly shifting world of pro sports. Players now, especially superstars with huge personal brands and giant social media followings, have more leverage than ever before. They don't need to sit there and accept treatment that feels disrespectful just because an organization used to hold all the power. If Caitlin walks away from Team USA, it sends a loud, industry-shaking message to every athlete in every sport watching. It tells them, you don't have to stay somewhere that undervalues you, even if that disrespect comes from powerful institutions that think they can't be touched. So now, what happens next is truly uncertain, and the stakes cannot be higher. On one side, Sue Bird might convince Caitlin to return by instantly reversing the number decision and giving her some kind of rock-solid guarantee that this kind of disrespect will never happen again. Or Caitlin could stand her ground, skip the training camp completely, and send a massive shockwave through the basketball world, forcing USA Basketball to finally admit the truth. They need her far, far more than she needs them. Either way, the damage to USA Basketball's reputation is already done. They've shown the world they are either totally clueless or openly disrespectful, and neither one makes their leadership look good. The comparison to other legendary athletes and their iconic numbers makes this even clearer. Nobody would have ever told Wayne Gretzky to switch off 99. Nobody would have ever dared to take Michael Jordan away from 23. Those numbers became part of them, part of their story, part of their greatness. Caitlin Clark has earned that same level of recognition in women's basketball. The number 22 is her brand. Asking her to change it is like asking her to give up a piece of who she is. And she's making it louder than ever that this is not happening. So here we are. Team USA created a disaster that could have completely been avoided. And now Sue Bird is scrambling to clean it up before it explodes even more. Caitlin holds all the power right now, and she knows it. The situation is nowhere near finished. If you want more updates as the story keeps unfolding, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. But I want to hear from you. What should Caitlin do next? Drop your thoughts down below.